Cyril Kaba will today being joined by the executive of Umngeni Curtail Water Board, be giving the details. I know from Monday, members of the media have been calling us wanting to unpack what is planned in place. So today, the purpose is to unpack, to give plans that has been put in place to ensure that, or to minimize the impact of the water curtailment that is in the pipeline. So with that, today we are here in worship being joined by Umngeni to give that breakdown of the water curtailment plan, and to also to take at Monday meeting. With that, of our, I will acknowledge that by the Water Board, Umngeni Executive, Mr. Pogela Mapo is also being joined by the Umngeni Curtail Water Regional Manager, Mr. Sibusiso Mdunga, Siyabonga Mdunga for joining us today. His worship is also being joined by the Acting Deputy City Manager for Trading Services, Ethnic Msweli, whom we all know is here today wearing two hats, that of being the head of water and sanitation, and that of being Acting Deputy City Manager for our trading services in Ethekwini. With that, colleagues, to also acknowledge our counterpart, Angela Masinfeld, who's coming, who's the Director for Regulation, Water Regulation from the Department of Water and Sanitation in the province. Thank you so much, Angela, for joining today's session, which is a very special session, whereby the leadership of Ethekwini being joined by Umngeni Curtail Board to unpack these critical plans that are in place to ensure that the impact of water is minimized as much as possible. With that, I would like to invite His Worship to read his statement, after which I will open the floor, members of the media, for yourselves to ask any clarity-seeking question that you may have, and we will appreciate that you use the opportunity to get all the information you may need moving forward, because we are relying on yourself as our partners to unpack and to educate the members of the public in terms of this measure decision that has been taken to reduce the supply of water in Ethekwini and other areas like in Sundus. With that, I'd like to invite His Worship to read his statement.
Thank you very much. Greetings to all of you, Acting DCM, Mr. Msweli, Bamaponya on my left from Umngeni, and his colleague from Umngeni Curtail, colleagues from water and sanitation in the municipality, members of the media. Thank you very much, Program Director, and colleagues in the media. Good afternoon. We really appreciate it that you have made time in your busy schedule to be part of this media briefing. We also appreciate that we are joined by Umngeni Curtail today, so that we jointly clarify the impending water curtailment program. It is important to indicate from the outset that this post-council media briefing takes place after the Department of Water and Sanitation and the Ethekwini municipality have announced water curtailment effective from the 10th of October 2024. Ladies and gentlemen of the media, to give context and background on the need for this curtailment, it is vital that we explain that the Department of Water and Sanitation limits the amount of raw water that Umngeni Curtail water can abstract from Umngeni water supply system. This is to enable continued water availability, including during periods of below average rainfall. The risk of not enforcing the abstraction limit is that should a drought occur, the Umngeni Curtail water to continue providing the eThekwini municipality with a reliable water supply. However, if Umngeni Curtail Water implements the gradual reduction as planned, the water supply should remain stable, even with below average rainfall. If there is below average rainfall, any restrictions required would be more manageable. It is in this regard that the Department of Water and Sanitation issued a notice to Umngeni Curtail Water to reduce the volume of water abstracted from the Umngeni system to their licensed volumes in July 2023. With due consideration of the long-term risk, it is necessary that the water supply curtail are implemented amount to 1,406 megaliters of water per day. However, the directive from the Department of Water and Sanitation requires the value to be reduced to 1,287 megaliters of water, which is a reduction of 118 megaliters a day. This is in order for Umngeni Curtail Water Board to meet the conditions of the water use license of 470 million cubic meters per annum. This will be a reduction on the current sales and abstraction volume of 8.4%. The curtailment will be for a period of 12 months, and we urge residents to use water sparingly, the high consumption. As we have indicated in the previous media briefings, the demand of and we continue with our residents customers to work with us to address this challenge. Some of the contributing factors to the high water usage include rapid urbanization, aging infrastructure, which causes water leaks, as well as illegal connections. In ensuring that residents are not adversely affected, the city will be implementing the following interventions: installation of restrictors in water meters to all consumers, pressure reduction in the reticulation network, metering all unmetered consumers, improve turnaround time in repairing leaks and pipe burst through deployment of ward-based plumbers, community education in water conservation, disconnection of illegal connections, water rationing where demand is too high or exceeds available supply. In our effort to engage various stakeholders in the city, which is part of my listening campaign, yesterday we met with a group of retired engineers. In our discussion, I briefed them about the impending water curtailment, and they concurred with some of the interventions I've outlined to save water. Ladies and gentlemen, you'll recall that during our first media briefing engagement, I indicated that addressing water and sanitation issues is going to be our apex priority. In this regard, we are meeting every Friday to receive reports and assess the progress on the infrastructure upgrading and repair projects that are currently underway. Tomorrow, we'll be starting to conduct these meetings on site in water reservoirs that are giving us challenges, starting from the northern areas. Our intention is to quickly resolve identified challenges in our water and sanitation infrastructure. I now move to the debt relief program. Following the successful implementation of the debt relief program, which ended in July this year, the Council approved the extension of the program until the end of December this year. Furthermore, the Council resolved that the program must incorporate a dispute resolution mechanism. The previous debt relief program saw over 25,000 applications and a total collection of 13.6 million rand. What makes this program unique this time around is that it will now incorporate a dispute resolution mechanism. We felt that most customers could not take advantage of the previous debt relief program because they were still disputing their bills. Therefore, we're infusing the element of dispute resolution because we want to have happy customers. Customers who are eligible for the program are those whose accounts are in arrears for more than 90 days. Once a payment arrangement has been made, an accumulated interest is scrapped. However, customers must not fall into arrears for a 12-month period after settling the outstanding debt. It is important to mention that the program only accommodates residential customers, businesses, and non-governmental organizations, government departments, and state-owned entities are excluded. I want to repeat that. It is important to mention that the program only accommodates residential customers, business and non-governmental organizations, government departments and state-owned entities are excluded. Government departments and state-owned entities are excluded. Ladies and gentlemen, at our last meter briefing, we announced that water and electricity meter reading will be migrated to the revenue unit to create a one-stop shop for the billing cycle. This process has commenced this month, and we are confident that going forward, customers will be receiving accurate bills as the revenue unit is now responsible for meter reading monthly, or is responsible for meter reading, monthly billing of customers, and the collection of debt from the billing. Let me read it again. This process has commenced this month, and we are confident that going forward, customers will be receiving accurate bills as the revenue unit is now responsible for meter reading, monthly billing of customers, and the collection of debt arising from the billing. Previously, the water and sanitation unit was responsible for meter reading, while electricity was responsible for electricity meter readings. However, these readings were not captured regularly or simultaneously, resulting in the estimation of bills. I now move to the transport month. October is Transport Month, where all spheres of government showcase transport infrastructure in various sectors, such as public transport, roads, maritime, aviation, and rail. We also use this month to highlight the contribution of the transport sector in the economy, as well as creating road safety awareness. As you know, that in the city, we have Metropolis, whose primary task is to ensure that our residents are safe, both on the streets and in communities. We are pleased that last week, our Metropolis received about 70 new vehicles, which include 50 high-performance vehicles. This will go a long way in improving the response capability of Metropolis to save lives on our road, as well as they will be used as these vehicles will be used to conduct law enforcement operations and regular patrols on our roads to manage traffic flows. We want to assure the public that these vehicles have been procured to serve the public and will be used where they are needed most. As we have indicated, we also use Transport Month to showcase public transport infrastructure that government has put in place to ensure the provision of safe, integrated, and reliable public transport. We want to take this opportunity to update the public on the progress we are making in the implementation of our integrated public transport network, commonly known as Durban. A few years ago, eThekwini municipality approved the implementation of phase 1 of the integrated public transport network, inclusive routes. We want to acknowledge that there have been delays in the implementation of this project due to industry negotiations deadlock, resulting in a review in the negotiations approach. The municipality is currently engaging the national and provincial Departments of Transport and the affected operators on the implementation of the C3 corridor, that is between Pinetown and Bridge City in Guamashu, and the process to be followed on the taking over of the contracting assignment. The city is planning to commence with the operation of the C3 corridor by the end of March 2025. The expenditure of the project from 2014 to date is 7.9 billion on phase 1 implementation, inclusive of C3, C1, and C9 routes. The funding has been used on the following infrastructure: land acquisition, roadways, bus stations, transfer feeder facility, construction of terminals and depots, Pisang River restoration projects, integrated fare management system, traffic management center fitment and system. Ladies and gentlemen, Durban continues to be the premier destination of choice for local and international tourists. This was demonstrated during the Heritage and Tourism Month, when the city managed to attract thousands of visitors during the Heritage Month long weekend. This is despite the fact that only 17 bathing beaches were opened due to the inclement weather, which resulted in the contamination of 6 bathing beaches. We strongly believe that had it not been for the snow, which got many motorists who were traveling to Durban trapped in the Midlands, the number of visitors would have been much higher. We're looking forward to receiving over 60,000 visitors this weekend, who will be descending in Durban for the MTN 8 Cup final. It is for this reason that we are confident that during the festive season, we'll be able to reach our target of attracting 1.3 million visitors to Durban. The reopening of the Hilton Hotel and the 1 billion rand investment by the Southern Sun to its beachfront hotels, which include Elangeni, Maharan, Edward, and Garden Court, will bolster our efforts of attracting more tourists in Durban. As part of our ongoing listening campaign of interacting with various stakeholders, including the business community, this morning we met with the manufacturing sector to gain a deeper understanding on the issues that may be impeding their operations in the city. We also came up with tangible proposals on how we are going to work together to unlock the potential of this sector, which contributes 170,000 job opportunities in the city. Let me take this opportunity, ladies and gentlemen, to thank the business community for continuing to invest in our city. This will go a long way in making eThekwini the most caring and livable city. I thank you.
Thank you so much, Your Worship, for the statement, which is seeking to clarify the water curtailment program, which is imminent to start next week. With that, members of the media, I would like to invite His Worship to read his statement in isiZulu, after which I will then open the floor for questions around the program to curtail the water supply in eThekwini. I thank you.
Angibingelele u-DCM ubaba Umsweli ubaba Phokwane from Umngeni Maponya from Umngeni uthukela water bamtsele usiphathele program nabonke abakhona lapha kulendlu nani ke enqoshele indaba. Siyabonga kakhulu ngoba khona kwenu kulesi sithangami sabezindaba. Siyajabula futhi nokuthi namhlanje senabo Umngeni uthukela water esobamisana nabo ukucacisa ngohlelo oluzoqalwa lokuncishiswa kwamanzi ahlinzekwa lapha eThekwini. Kubalulekile ukubalula ukuthi lesithangabi sabezindaba siza ngemuva ukuthi umnyango wezamanzi nomasipala weTheku bememezele ukuncishiswa kwenani lamanzi elihlinzekwa eThekwini kusela ngomhla ka-10 ku-October 2024. Ukucacisa ukuthi lesinyathelo sokunciphisa amanzi susa kuphi, kubalulekile ukuchaza ukuthi umnyango wezamanzi nezenhlanzeko unesikali osibekele Umngeni uthukela water senani lamanzi angadonswa ohlelweni loMngeni water system. Lokhu kwenza ukuthi amanzi angapheli ahlale khona ngisho nangezikhathi zemvula encane kunalena ejwayelekile. Uma ngathiwa sikho lesikali samanzi esibekiwe, uma kwenzeka kuba nesomiso ngeke sibe namanzi enele okuba Umngeni uthukele uqhubeke nokusihlinzeka thina njengeTheku njengenjwayelo. Kepha uma Umngeni uthukela water ithatha lesinyathelo sokunciphisa amanzi kancane kancane njengoba kuhleliwe, umsebenzi wokuhlinzeka amanzi uzoqhubeka uzinze ngisho sinemvula encane. Ingakho ke umnyango kazwelonke wamanzi nokhuculwa kwendle ukhiphe isaziso sokuba Umngeni unciphisa amanzi adonswa ohlelweni loMngeni abuyele esikaleni esigunyaziwe. Kuye kwadingeka ukuthi lolu hlelo lokuncishiswa kwamanzi lenziwe kancane kancane ezinyangeni eziwu-12 ezizayo ukuze iqinisekiswe ukuthi ukudonswa kwamanzi ohlelweni loMngeni kubuyele esikaleni esigunyaziwe futhi kugcinwe kulawo mazinga lawo agunyaziwe. Iningi lamanzi kamasipala eTheku lihlinzekwa Umngeni uthukela water. Isilinganiso senani lamanzi elidonswayo ezinyangeni eziwu-12 ezedlule siwu-1,406 megaliters of water ngosuku. Ngokomyalelo womnyango wezamanzi kumele leli nani lehliswe libe u-1,287 megaliters ngosuku, okusho ukuthi lizokwehla ngo-118 megaliters ngosuku. Lokhu kwenzelwa ukuthi umngeni uthukela water board ukwazi ukubambisana nemibandela yelicense. Le license isinikeza amanzi awu 470 cubic meters ngonyaka. Lokho kuzosho ke ukwehla kwenani lamanzi esiwathola kumngeni ngepercent elu 8.4. Uhlelo lomncishiso kwamanzi lizoqhubeka izinyanga eziwu-12 kanti sinxusa izakhamizi kuba zonga amanzi ngalesikhathi ukuze zekelekelele ekwehliseni izinga lokusetshenziswa kwamanzi eliphezulu. Njengoba sike sakuveza izithangamini zabeyindaba ezedlule, isidingo samanzi eThekwini singaphezulu kakhulu kwenani lamanzi iTheku elinalo, futhi siyaqhubeka nokunxusa wonke amakhasimende ethu ezindaweni zokuhlala nezamabhizinisi ukuba asebenzisane nathi ukubhekana nalenselelo. Ezinye zezimbangela zokusetshenziswa kwamanzi okuphezulu ukufuduleka kwabantu emadolobheni besuka endaweni ezisemakhaya beza lapha edolobheni laseThekwini. Inqalazinda egugayo edala ukuvuza amanzi nokuxhunywa kwamanzi ngokungemthetho. Uqinisekisa ukuthi izakhamizi asithinteki kakhulu, umasipala uzothatha lezinyathelo zokungenelela esizibeka kuloko okulandelayo. Ukufaka kwemishini elawula ukuphuma kwamanzi emamitheni awo wonke amakhasimende ethu. Ukwehlisa komfutho wamanzi emapayipini okuphakela amanzi. Ukufaka amamitha kulabo abangekabi nawo. Uqinisekisa ukuthi amapayipi avuzayo naqhumile alungiswa ngokukhulu ukushesha. Njengoba kutshalwa abasebenzi abalungisa amapayipi abazozinza emawadini. Ukufundisa umphakathi ngokongiwa kwamanzi, ukunqanyulwa kwamanzi axhunywa ngokungemthetho. Ukuhlinzeka amanzi akaliwe noma isidingo samanzi sibonakala siphezulu noma singaphezulu kwenani lamanzi akhona. Angiphinde futhi ukuhlinzeka amanzi akaliwe uma isidingo samanzi sibonakala siphezulu kakhulu noma singaphezulu kwenani lamanzi akhona. Njengengxenye yemizamo yethu yokubonisana nezinhlaka ezahlukene okuyingxenye yomkhankaso wami ukulalela zonke izinhlaka ezisebenzisana nazo, izolo sihlangane nethimba lonjiniyela asebathatha umhlalaphansi. Ezingxoxweni zethu ngeke ngabachazela ngalokhu ukuncishiswa kwamanzi okuzoqalwa kanti bavumelana nezinye zalezi nyathelo engizibalule zokonga amanzi. Ngizokhumbula ukuthi ngesikhathi ngihlangana oqala nabezindaba ngaveza ukuthi ukubhekana nezinkinga zamanzi nokuthuthwa kwendle kuzoba seqhulwini emsebenzini wethu. Ingakho sihlangana njalo ngoLwesihlanu ukuze sithole imbiko siphinde sihlole nenqubekela phambili enhlelweni esiqhubekayo zokulungiswa kwenqalazinda. Kusasa lemhlangano sizoba siyibambele emadamini okugcina amanzi anezinkinga kanti soqala ezindaweni esenyakatho. Inhloso yethu ukuxazulula ngokusheshsha inselelo ezihlonzwe kwingqalazindo yethu yamanzi nokuthuthwa kwendle. Uma siza ekweletini ngemuva kokubona indlela oqhubeka ngayo uhlelo lokusiza lwezikweletu oluphele ngoJulayi kulonyaka, umkhandlu usugunyaze ukuthi lolu hlelo lwelulwe ukuze kube uDisemba kulonyaka esikuwo. Laphezu kwalokho umkhandlu unqume nokuthi lolu hlelo luhlanganise nezinyathelo zokuxazulula izikhalazo. Ohlelweni langaphambilini samukela izicelo ezingaphezu kwa-25,000 kwaqoqwa nemali ewu-13.6 million. Okwenza lolu hlelo lwehluke ukuthi kulokhu seluzophelezelwa uhlelo lokuxazulula izikhalazo. Sibone sengathi maningi amakhasimende angasizakalanga ohlelweni lwangaphambilini ngenxa yokuthi ayenezikhalazo ephikisana nezikweletu zawo. Ingakho sesifake lengxenye yokubhekwa kwezikhalazo ngoba sifuna wonke umuntu noma sifuna wonke amakhasimende ethu agculiseke. Amakhasimende akwazi ukusizakala kulolu hlelo yilawa anama-account asalele emuva ngezinsuku ezingaphezulu kwezu-90. Uma sekwenziwa isivumelwano sokukhokha, inzalo ebesinqwabelene izokwesulwa. Kepha okusemqoka ukuthi amakhasimende kumele angaphinde asalele ngemuva esikweletini kuze kuphele izinyanga ezu-12 ngemuva kokuqedwa ukukhokha kwesikweletu. Kubalulekile ukucacisa ukuthi lolu hlelo oluvulele kuphela kumakhasimende asezindaweni zokuhlala, amabhizinisi nezinhlangano ezingekho ngaphansi kwahulumeni. Iminyango nezinkampani zikahulumeni azifakiwe lolu hlelo. Esithangamini sethu sabezindaba sokugcina simemezele ukuthi umsebenzi wokufundwa kwamamitha, amanzi nogesi sizodluliselwa ophikweni lokuqoqa kwezimali Revenue Unit. Lelu hlelo luqalile kule nyanga futhi sinesiqiniseko sokuthi amakhasimende asezothola izincwadi zezikweletu ezinemininingwane eyiyo njengoba i-Revenue Unit kuyiyona esizokwenza umsebenzi wokufunda amamitha, ukukhipha izikweletu nyanga zonke nokuqoqwa kwezikweletu. Ngamanye amazwi akuzukuba yi-estimate mase bephinda ke bethola ke incwadi ekuyona yona kuphinde ku-estimate kube incwadi ekuyona yona. Inhloso ukuthi ukhokhele amanzi kulo nyanga waphuze kulo nyanga. Oktoba inyanga yezokuthutha lapho zonke inhlaka zikahulumeni zisuke ziqhakambisa khona inqalazinda yezokuthutha emkhakheni ehlukene efana nezokuthuthwa komphakathi, imigwaqo, ezasolwandle, ezezindiza nezitimela. Siphinde sisebenzise yona lenyanga ukuqhakambisa iqhaza lemboni yezokuthutha emnothweni wethu nokuqwashisa ngezokuphepha emgwaqeni. Njengoba sonke sazi eThekwini sinamaphoyisa kamasipala, umsebenzi wawo omkhulu okuqinisekisa ukuthi izakhamizi ziphephile emgwaqeni nasemphakathini. Sijabula ngokuba ngesonto elidlule amaphoyisa kamasipala athole izimoto ezintsha ezibalelwa ku-70 okuhlanganisa nezimoto ezinamandla athe xaxa eziwu-50. Lokhu kuzosiza kakhulu ekutheni amaphoyisa kamasipala asebenze kangcono ukuhlenga impilo yabantu emgwaqeni yethu njengoba lezi zimoto zizosetshenziswa ukuqinisekisa ukugcina komthetho nokugada emgwaqeni. Sifisa ukuqinisekisa umphakathi ukuthi lezi zimoto zithengelwe ukusebenzela wona umphakathi futhi zizosetshenziswa lapho zidingeka khona kakhulu. Inyanga yezokuthutha siphinde sisebenzise ukuqhakambisa inqalazinda yezokuthutha umphakathi esiyakhiwe uhulumeni ukuze uqinisekise ukuhlinzeka kwezithuthi zomphakathi eziphephile ehlinzekwa ngendlela eyethembekile. Sifisa ukuthatha leli thuba sazise umphakathi ngenqubela phambili yohlelo lwethu lwezokuthutha elaziwa phecelezi Integrated Public Network noma ngeGo-Durban. Eminyakeni embalwa edlule umasipala weTheku wagunyaza isigaba sokuqala semizila yohlelo le-Integrated Public Transport Network. Siyavuma ukuthi ukuqala kwalolu hlelo kuye kwabambezeleka ngenxa yezingxoxo ezingaphumelelanga nabezimboni ezithintekelayo okuholele ekutheni kubuyekezwe indlela okuqhutshwa ngayo lezi zingxoxo. Njengamanje umasipala uxoxisana nomnyango wezeTheku, wezokuthutha, weprovince nazo lonke nenhlaka ezithintekayo mayelana nokuvulwa komzila i-C3 lo mzila osuka ePinetown uya kaMashu nenqubo ezolandelwa uma sekudluliselwa lo msebenzi. Umasipala uhlela ukuthi u-C3 uqala ukusebenza ekupheleni kwaMarch 2025 lo nyaka esoqala. Imali esisetshenziswe kulolu hlelo kusukela ngo-2014 kuze kube yimanje iwu-7.9 billion rand. Osebenze esigabeni sokuqala ehlanganisa imizila uC3, uC1 noC9. Le mali isetshenziswe kulezi nqalazinda ezilandelayo: ukuthengwa komhlaba, imigwaqo, izitobhu zamabhasi njengoba zizinhle nje, isikhungo sokushintshela kwezinye izithuthi, ukwakhiwa kwezikhumulo zamabhasi, inhlelo zokuvuselela umfula iPisang River, uhlelo lwemali yokugibela, ukulungiswa kwesikhungo sokulawula ukuhamba kwezithuthi. iTheku liyaqhubeka nokuba indawo ehamba phambili ezivakashini zakuleli nasemazweni angaphandle. Lokhu sikubona ngokusobala ngenyanga yamagugu, noma sikubone ngokusobala ngenyanga yamagugu ephinde ibe inyanga yezokuvakasha lapha eThekwini. Sikwazile khona ukuheha izivakashi ngempela sonto yamagugu. Lokhu kwenzeke phezukuba abewu-17 kuphela amabhishi okubhukuda bevaliwe ngenxa yesimo sezulu ebesingesihle esiholele ekutheni kungcola amabhishi ayisithupha okubhukuda. Sikholelwa ekutheni ukube alizange likhithike, abashayeli abaningi ebebeze eThekwini abagcine bevaleleke emgwaqweni, isibalo sezivakashi ngabe siphezulu kakhulu. Kunalezi zizathu sinesiqiniseko sokuthi amaholidi kaKhisimusi sizokwazi ukufinyelela esibalweni esizibekele sona sokuheha izivakashi ezisigidi 1.3 million lapha eThekwini. Ukuvulwa kabusha kwehhotela eHilton notshalo mali luka 1 billion rand olutshalwe yiSouthern Sun emahhotela ayo aseduzane nolwandle, okubalwa kuwe iLangeni, Maharan, Edward and neGarden Court, kuzoqinisekisa imizamo yethu yokuheha izivakashi eziningi eThekwini. Ngithathe leli thuba ngibonge osomabhizinisi ngokuqhubeka nokutshala imali edolobheni lethu. Lokhu kuzosiza kakhulu emsebenzini wethu wokwakha itheku elinakelayo nokuhlaleka kangcono kulona. Ngiyazibongela.
Sibonga kakhulu bameya ngokubika osuthe wasethulela wona okuyizinqumo eyithathwe umhlangano wesigungu esiphezulu somkhandlu ebisengomsombuluko. Members of the media, that was a statement in isiZulu, which was a summary of the council decision which took place this week on Monday. As indicated earlier on, I will now open the floor for yourself to ask any questions around the decisions that His Worship has taken us through. I see two hands at the moment. I will take the first round, then come back to take the second round. So the second round is made up of two hands, then I'll come back to the second round. And number one, I'll ask that you introduce yourself and say the house you're coming from. You ask the question. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Mr. Twelly and colleagues. My name is Tony Connie. I'm from the Daily Maverick. I have four questions. I think things with one is sort of infrastructure, which includes the Springfield Dam was dam project it's a very ambitious project. It involves both the dam, the transfer tunnel, purification works. I wanted to ask for clarity on the current timelines on when eThekwini will receive the first water through the purification works from that Nkomazi scheme. The second question is, I think to Mr. Msweli, is the International Water Association has a table which is used by eThekwini to determine the volumes of water and how it's used. And I wanted to ask, what are the current non-revenue water percentages for Durban? And secondly, the actual leaks component of that non-revenue water as a percentage of current use. And if I could request a copy of that, of a current table for the past year, that would be appreciated. The third question is 8.4% reduction over the next 12 months. How will the city ensure that those reductions will be applied equitably across the entire city, so that it's not kind of arbitrary cut-offs here and there, that there is some equity in how the savings are made. And lastly, we know that there's a lot of water leaking from the city, from its pipeline networks. And I want to ask, how much money has eThekwini allocated for pipeline repairs for this year, for this financial year, compared to the last financial year? Thank you.
Thank you so much. Question number one. Question number two.
Good afternoon, Nick Garber, again, water colleagues. Joseph Bracken from Ground Up. My questions are regarding something that wasn't brought up today, but is still regarding what we're speaking about. It's about the water trucks, particularly my first question about the water trucks being bought at the end of the year, December. If I'm not mistaken, it's 100 water trucks. My question is, how can such a large payment be justified currently whilst so much money is needed in areas such as the fixing of the ailing infrastructure like you brought up today? Does this mean that water trucks are going to be a solution for the far foreseeable future? My second question is, have you found a provider for the water trucks? I know it's out for tender. And how much is it going to cost? And then my third question is regarding an investigation that Grant did earlier this year. We sent evidence to eThekwini regarding one of your tendered companies, Multi-Solutions, who we found to be selling water, especially around the Adams area. eThekwini stated that they would, at the time, investigate. This was over 5 months ago now, and whenever we inquire about the investigation, we're denied any information. So if you could give us any information regarding that, and how far the investigation is actually along, and if Multi-Solutions is still tendered, and if it's still going to be tendered until the end of the year. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Joe. With those 7 questions, I'll close the first round of questions, then invite His Worship and the executive to give answers to your questions.
I would prefer that I start with the colleagues on my left or right to deal with the technical question. I will then later come back and make my own comments and then deal with questions that they may not have answered. I will then move a bit to the left so that, who do I start with? I start with you.
Mine is just one question.
Just one question. All right. Let's shift.
Do you have to?
Yes, to make it easy.
Good afternoon, Your Worship, my colleagues, as well as colleagues from the media. From Umgeni Utigela Water, there's only one question that was asked that I'll respond to, and that was the very first question with regards to the Springfield, what we normally call Upper Mkomazi in terms of the timelines. The current timelines at the moment, we're looking at end of 2032 in terms of first drop coming from that particular system. Thank you.
Okay. Greetings, Your Worship, and colleagues. Greetings to all of you. Some of the questions, especially from Tony, are a bit technical, but I'll just try and summarize. Yeah, but I think you've asked that we provide you a copy of that IWA water balance, so maybe that will explain a lot of what I think you've asked. But just to comment on that, the current non-revenue water figure in eThekwini is about 54%. 54. So it's a reduction of about 4% from where we were end of June last financial year. So we ended last financial year at 58. This time we ended at 54. So there's about a 4% reduction. I think you'll know that there is a turnaround strategy in the city, and this one is an area of focus in terms of turning around the city. So we're hoping that we can sustain the reduction. I think the second question from you was, of the 54%, how much of that is physical losses or real losses? In terms of that table that you refer to, these are estimates, right? It's not cast in concrete. So it's about 60% of that 54% will be real losses. I haven't then done the calculation, so you just have to calculate 60% or 54%. That would be physical losses. Yeah. So the 8.4%, you are asking how would we ensure that it's applied equitably. The initiatives that the mayor alluded to are designed to do that, to make sure that we save where it helps everyone. It helps the city and it helps with achieving the targets that we've been given. For example, if you go for, I think one of the interventions that was mentioned was pressure management. If you implement pressure management across the city, what that does for you is that even if you have bursts and leaks, you don't lose water at the pace that you would if the pressure was high. So that is something we just have to do across the board, so that wherever the leaks are, wherever the bursts are, you don't lose water as fast. So you'll do some of those. But on top of that, what we are doing at the moment is we're looking at what we call reservoir zones, because each reservoir has what is called a reservoir zone, which should be an area that is supplied by that particular reservoir. That's how I was saying earlier, it gets a bit technical, but I'll summarize. So we are analyzing then all our reservoir zones to see which ones have the highest losses, which what you normally call night flows. Because in the night you should not be losing water when people are sleeping. That's when you should be using the least amount of water. So what we measure is what is happening in that reservoir zone in the night. Let's say around 1 a.m., 2 a.m. in the morning. So we will then target reservoir zones that have the highest losses. So in the first instance, we want to go for the water that is being lost. Because that water, if you save it, you're not impacting on anyone. It's water that would otherwise be lost. It's that 60% that you were referring to. So that will be our strategy, to go for that first, and then obviously after that we have to then start installing the restrictors in the actual individual meters. The report, I think, from National Department of Water and Sanitation has always alluded to the fact that in eThekwini the consumption is too high. Our people in eThekwini consume about 268 liters per person per day, which is much higher than what the norm should be. The norm is around 173. So with the restrictors, you'll be then going after that demand to say, right, it's legitimate demand, but even that needs to be reduced. So it's quite loaded. There's more and more to it than what I'm just talking to now. I hope, but at least that helps a bit. So there was also a question about how much are we spending on pipe replacement. We have two programs that we're running for pipe replacement. There is a program called pipe replacement. So there we spend about 80 million, 80 million rand a year. And there's another one which is called relays, whereby if your pipe keeps bursting in a particular street, if it bursts more than, the standard is that if it bursts more than 8 times in a year, we should then, more than 8 times a year, we should replace that entire street. That's sufficient inconvenience to warrant us changing the entire pipeline. There we have 30 million rand currently. So 80 plus 30 will be about 110 million rand, just for pipe replacement. Joseph from Ground Up You're asking about the 100 water tankers. Why we are basically you're saying why are we spending so much money on water tankers? Yeah. It's necessary for us to replace our infrastructure. We've calculated, and I must qualify this number that it's a 3-year-old number, right? So we're busy updating it. We're saying we need about 44 billion rand. It's what we should be spending. Well, that's the amount of money you need to go and replace your infrastructure. So obviously the city does not have 44 billion rand to spend just on water and sanitation, noting that the city has other priorities as well besides water and sanitation. So if we were to say, no, don't buy the water tankers, the other option then would be to say, then go and replace the infrastructure so that it doesn't fail and then people have water in their taps. So as I've told you, the numbers are high, you just can't justify it. So it's a stopgap measure, effectively. We have to have something to make sure that people continue to have water while we work on the more long-term problem. So that is the reason. So you're saying it doesn't mean water tankers are a permanent solution? Would hope not, but currently you're still going to have them for a while. Let me put it that way. But the meetings that the mayor alluded to that happen on Fridays, they go on almost on an area-by-area basis and say, what is the reason? They interrogate that. What is the reason you are sending water tankers to that area? So we've got to answer the mayor on that question and say, well, it's because we are busy with this project. If it's a 3-year project, that means when the project is finished, the water tankers must be removed. So you remove them as you deal with the infrastructure challenges. I don't know if, Joseph, if I can help you with the tenders. Tenders are not good to talk about. Yeah. Maybe let me deal with that
Yes.
one. I did inquire into the tender you are referring to, and the response was that the company fired the persons who were responsible, but I then said, I don't think that is enough, because there is a breach of trust, and the team is looking into that. I will not pressure them. I want them that at some point they must come back to me and to say what steps they've taken against the company itself. And I want to leave it at that for now. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Your Worship. Colleagues, are there any other sets of questions you may have? Can see 2 hands. 1, 2. Any further questions? Is everything clear in terms of the program in place? All right, we'll go with the last 2 hands, but over and above that, Lule will be at hand to coordinate the one-on-one interviews with His Worship and the acting DCM on trading services. All right, we're going to have question number 1. Siyabonga kakhulu ngombuzo uyisipili. Siyabonga again for umbuzo wesibili. Ngabukhona omunye umbuzo okhona before we close this session of question answer session. None, all right, Siyabonga, Bomme.
Yes. Yeah, no, sanibonani. Kodwa ubaba uMsweli yena uzokunikeza the technical answer to your question. Sihlangana every Friday from 9 to 12. And like we reported that as from tomorrow, the meetings will happen at the identified reservoirs. We're targeting the reservoirs that are giving us problems. I want that when I'm there, I get an analysis of what the problems are in this reservoir. Because one reservoir may be responsible for a number of areas. And let me put it differently. A reservoir will be responsible for the number of wards. The team will give me information as to, amongst these wards that this reservoir is responsible for, what is the status of water service in each and every one of them, because the areas may be impacted differently, may not be impacted in the same way. One area may be having an intermittent supply, another may be having no water at all, and another may be having water, or in some cases, another ward may, or falling under the category of areas that were actually rationing. Maybe you are getting water in the afternoon, while the others are getting water in the evening. And what steps are we taking to address the problem so that the communities does not get affected by the pest that appears to be out of the ordinary. If the pest happens more often, that it may even be the sign that there is really a deeper problem than what meets the eye. And if there is work in progress in terms of piping, construction, we also get a report whilst we are there. What work are we conducting? When are we intending to finish constructing? Has there been any problems in the past? And that's information. In other words, we monitor progress in the construction work, as it were. We think that bringing water and sanitation under the radar will, in fact, help us to deal with the problems that there are. Of course, where there is serious water challenges, even within this community, that we have the wards that we are visiting that are serviced by this particular infrastructure reservoir, it may be that we're servicing them with water tankers. How many water tankers are servicing these wards? And what is the distribution plan? So that whenever I get a call from Ward A, I will know exactly what station is servicing Ward A and what the issues are and what are we doing to address that problem, either in terms of addressing the problem itself or mitigating or intervening through a water tanker situation. So that's the work we are doing, and to ensure that we really come on top of the situation as the municipality. Indeed, the infrastructure is aging. There's very little we can do about that, except that we need to replace the infrastructure so that we don't have to keep coming back on it to repair and repair and repair. Some are even beyond the repairable stage. So it really need to be to be replaced. So, colleagues, that's the plan we are having, and I think it addresses the issue of the aging infrastructure. I must say that there was. I think the city at some point was behind with its own maintenance plan on them. And but I must say this to our residents, that if you connect illegally to our system, you are robbing the municipality of the revenue that it will be collecting and use on the maintenance plan. Because somebody, you are stealing water, but somebody is paying for it. So it's our appeal that people must use water, must pay for the water, for all the services that we are giving them, because the money we collect, we use it to maintain the very same structure that we use to provide services to them. And that if they don't, then they disempower the municipality. They reduce the strength of the municipality to maintain its own infrastructure. So it ought to be a two-way type of approach. We give you water, you give us money. We're now able to use that money to buy more water and maintain the infrastructure, and to sometimes expand the infrastructure to cope with the population growth. Now, if we don't get money, we'll then be having a problem now with more people piggybacking on the very same infrastructure. You see, so those are the challenges. Good day, Chief Whip. Thank you so much. I think we've addressed all the questions, colleagues. And if there was, do you still need a technical answer? But I thought I've explained it as a non-technical person. Oh, ashaya nje kancane. Ashaya kancane bamsweni. Sondela nje, sondela ihlathi, sondela ihlathi shaya kancane.
Ngithi ikhava yahle impela kodwa ke this English or Zulu?
Of
Whatever, or English, okay, I know English. Because I thought your question was about Intuzuma, Inand and Adams. You were saying those systems are already challenged. Yeah, I think it's a coincidence that tomorrow we're actually taking the mayor there. You were saying just now that he'll be going out. So the visit for tomorrow is going to Ntuzuma. There's a pump station, we call it NR2. Those that are familiar with Ntuzuma will remember that that's a pump station where we had a fire incident before. So that one, we repaired it, but now we are upgrading that pump station. So that's where we're taking his worship tomorrow. So, but in terms of the current problems, I think these areas were affected also after the damages from the last storm. So I think the problems got worse. From what I know is that there's improvement now. In fact, the improvement would have been sustained if it wasn't now for this new challenge that we now have to reduce. After the floods, we were really starting to see some improvement. But I think it's all linked to the earlier answers. We have to try and balance as best as we can. But the message, I think, today is to say that all residents must expect some change. Either a reduction in pressure, maybe when you open your tap, water doesn't come out as fast as before. It could be just that with some suburbs. But in other suburbs, it might mean you now get water on certain days and not every day. But that will differ from suburb to suburb, depending on the system.
Okay. Colleagues, I now hand back to you.
Thank you so much, Your Worship. Thank you, Baba Msweli, for those answers. Members of the media, it is clear that in the next 6 to 7 years, until the Upper Umpomazi water project is completed, it will be critical for all of us to work together, for all of us to play our part in saving water, so that it can sustain us until that period. With that, I would like to invite you as members of the media to work with us in ensuring that we drive the campaign, we create the awareness out there, invite members of the public to work with us in saving the water that we have, so that the impact of the current curtailment doesn't affect much of the public. So it is my request that you work with us in educating everybody of the public. We individually play our part in saving water. The 240 liters we spoke about that average people use per day need to be bring down to 173 capacity. I think that's the main message that we are requesting as a city to work with us, collaborate with us. There will be a number of media campaigns ourselves that we will be embarking on to drive the campaign, inviting members of the public to work with us. But from your side, I would like to really appeal to work with the city in driving the message. With that, thank you so much for being here today. The media briefing is adjourned.
Thank you so much. Sibongile madoda. Kodwa ke ukuthi ngathi sibakhulume nabo.